Hi, I'm Madam Eileen. Are we ready to get started painting at last? I'm sorry, I did a lot of talking, but I wanted to make sure that everyone had the supplies needed in order to paint. So let's get started. Here's my work board. We're going to practice doing straight lines. I'm going to use this paper as a guide, and I'm going to put my cutting mat down, shiny smooth side on the bottom, rougher side on the top. That's what we're going to be painting on. All right. I have my brush loaded up with the teal from the Little Starter packet. I'm rolling it and getting it to a nice fine tip. Older brushes, no matter what you do, it won't make that nice tip. This brush is Low Cornell number 6. I'm going to use my hand to demonstrate. When you paint, you want to touch the very tip of the brush to the surface. I like to call that the tippy toe. So you can just enough to make a little dot on the skin. So just barely make contact and then pull and glide it across. It's important to know how to do lines because teardrops are basically advanced lines. Now this is a mistake a lot of beginners painters do. You take your brush, you lay it down, and you start painting. And it's thick and it's blocky, and you wonder why does it not look like I'm trying to do. You're putting too much pressure. Also, that flattens the brush out. It no longer has that nice thin tip on the edge. See how wide it's become? Let's get her. When face paint is in a container, it's called a cake for some reason. You don't bake it. Picking it up, remaking my tip. If I don't have enough water and I try to make a line, the line is just not going to be there. So if I don't think the line is there enough, I give another spray to my face paint cake. Glide this back just a little bit. Roll it to make sure it's nice and wet. Go back to my hand. Do the tippy toe and glide tippy toe down. Now here's it. Do you see this pinky? When I'm painting on someone's face or skin, I rest my pinky on their cheek or forehead to steady my hand so I can do lines and curves. So I can have more control over what my brush is going to do. So that's what painting on your tippy toe is like and what you should not do. Tippy toe will give you fine lines. Pushing down with too much pressure gives you fat, uncontrollable lines. Now we're going to do teardrops. Teardrops are the bread and butter of all face paint designs. It's what makes it look good. So you can do a few things in getting ready to do face paint practice. You can, on the brush's tippy toe, I'm going to do it sideways. Tippy toe and try to see if you can keep that tippy toe right on top of that line, just a straight line. So it would look like this in real time if I was doing it. Practice doing fine lines. And once you've accomplished fine lines, then I'm going to do something that I just told you not to do. I'm sorry, kids. This is how it's done. We're going to get a little bit lower. to our surface here. To do a teardrop, you put the paint down, and the more I push down, the wider it becomes. When it's as wide as you want, start pulling your brush away, stay on the line, and lift slowly up to the tippy toe of the brush and then lift away. And that gives me a teardrop. I'm going to go here again. I'm not going to push down as much. I'm going to pull a little bit and stand it up on its tiptoe. And then I'm just going to do this, just a series, just staying either on the line or in the space. And I'm rotating the brush around. Some painters actually rotate while they're pulling up. That kind of wiggles my brush a little bit. I don't do that often. I usually just re-wet my brush. And for 20 minutes today, just spend 20 minutes making short teardrops. They don't have to be long. It's very smooth, it's very soothing. And if it gets boring, switch it up, get a different color. If you're going to use the same brush and you're going to switch colors, I do use a cup of water. If I'm using the same brush and I need to completely change colors, I swoosh my brush in with the bristles on the, not quite touching the bottom, but if I'm going to touch the bottom, I lay them flat as much as possible because I don't want to jam them down and break up those bristles and spread them out. After I wash the color off, I take my paper towel and I pull and I dry, and as I dry, the paper towel pulls the moisture and any leftover pigment from my brush. Now I'm able to change colors. We're going to go with pink. Okay, my pink looks orange on this camera for some reason. I'm going to spray activate. Reload. This is a number 6, but if you have a good number 6 brush that has a point, you can use the point and you can still control your teardrop. We're still doing short teardrops. You put pressure, pull, and lift up. And look at that little teardrop I just did. These are tiny teardrops. Oh, did you see that bead? I got just a little too much water on my brush, and it beaded where I did not want it to bead. So short teardrops, you can just a little pressure and then lift it up on its tippy toe. You can put bigger pressure, lift it up to its tippy toe. Just do a series of different short teardrops. Do different pressures on your brush. There's a really fat, short teardrop. Just spend 20 minutes getting to know your brush. Your 20-minute practices is for getting to know your materials. Learn how your face paints work. And then if your teardrop started weak at the top, you might want to go back and just give a little fill in there. Nothing's wrong with that. Spend 20 minutes every day getting to know your paints, getting to know your brushes, learning how it feels. A lot of what we do is but from muscle memory. And you don't necessarily have to follow the lines. You could set a goal. Like say I want to do a teardrop that's only 2 spaces long. I flatten it on line 1, I pull it and I try to stand it up by line 2. And you'll find that if you put too much pressure on, you're not able to stand up in time to get that teardrop. Refill a little bit of that paint. And then you might want to lay it down. It's like, okay, can I do it in 3? Stand it up and try to end it at 3. What you're going for is control of your medium. You can see that one started too sharp. I kind of dragged it a little bit on the tip before laying it down. Start critiquing your drawings. And just spend 20 minutes just doing short teardrops. Now this funny lip at the top of the teardrop, you can actually use that. You can use that as a technique for flower petals or fairy wings. But right now we're practicing the teardrop. We want to flatten it and then lift and have those bristles springing up and try to stay straight. There are some exercises you want to do with straight teardrops. This one I call the peacock because to me it looks like a peacock's tail. This may be upside down to you, but I flatten it, I pull it up to a tip. Now imagine that tip traveling. I don't have the tip touching. I'm going for an imaginary point that's right here. Wherever I put my paintbrush, I'm going to pull to that spot. But not all the way. I'm going to stop. But you can see if I had continued, it would have touched that dot. This is a perspective technique. But it teaches you to paint teardrops from different directions. You'll find that some directions are easier for your hand to paint than others. Oh, now I'm covering the camera, sorry about that. If you paint every 20 minutes every day, this will improve. And then you can always go back and give a little touch up if you don't like the tips. That's okay. You don't have to have your line perfect the first time you do it. You can always do touch-ups afterwards until you're happy with it. This is art. You gotta have fun. Have a happy day. Have fun practicing.